Okay, I'm standing out here along the Hamburg-Purdy Road in Shiloh National Military Park, right beside the intersection with with the Eastern Corinth Road. And what I'm getting ready to do here, getting ready to plunge into the Hornets Nest here at Shiloh. It's Davis wheat field just to the right, so kind of get you oriented a little bit. And the what I'm going to do is try being the key word. I'm going to try to follow the route that Shaver's brigade took on the afternoon of April 6th during the battle. And if I do this right, hopefully I will come out right around the 8th Iowa Monument up along the sunken road. That would be pretty close to the route that they followed, be right around the center of their line, about where the what would have been, I think the 2nd Arkansas, I think is would have been about in the center of Shaver's brigade. So, all right, let's see how I do. More than likely, I'll come out on the wrong road or something, but this will hopefully give you a good idea of what it looks like in the Hornets Nest, because I think it's pretty similar to what it would have been at the time of the battle. A lot of the area in 1862 was open woods, but the center of the battlefield, where the Hornets Nest is located, was very heavy underbrush, and it is similar to that now. It might not be quite the same as it was in the spring of 1862, but it's probably pretty close. So we'll see how we do here. You gotta kind of wander around to avoid some of these big trees that have been downed over the years. Some of these were probably knocked over by a huge storm that hit the park back in 2019. Almost exactly 2 years ago, in fact. It was in, I think, late October of 2019, and this is the first week of November in 2021. Now, if you can just imagine, if you're going through here, when we started out back there along the roadway, you can imagine being in formation. You know, everybody's in a straight line, and then you hit the woods, and what happens? Yeah, everybody has to break formation, so you're having to go around all the little down trees and the big down trees, if there are any, and the underbrush, and the vines with thorns on them. So what's going to happen to your formation? That's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. And the accounts that you read of the men who were going through this area, and I'm already wandering off too far to the right. That's Davis wheat field right there. So we got to veer back this way. But if you read the accounts of the men who were in any of the attacks that came through this area right where we are now, they talk about that, you know, you could almost not see just a few feet in front of you for all the underbrush, and of course the closer you get to the Union lines, you're going to have smoke from the gunfire. And they would talk about how they would get within just a few feet or a few yards from the Union line before they even were aware that they were anywhere near it. And what clued them in was the fact that they had gunfire explode in their faces. If you can hear that noise, there's some big construction machinery moving down Eastern Corinth Road. I don't know what they're doing, but all right, I think I'm still too far to the right. Move over this way. Walking more toward the Eastern Corinth Road now. It Doesn't look like the underbrush is too bad right now. I've been through here before where you couldn't go just a few feet and you're pulling thorns off your sleeves and tripping over vines, and it could be the storm that hit, knocking all these trees over. Maybe it has some sort of effect on the underbrush. I don't know of such things, but it could be. All right, I'm rough guessing that we're about halfway to the Union line right now. So again, if you can imagine yourself being a soldier in here, and you know, if you're with Shaver during his attack, yeah, I got to veer more this way. I'm getting too close to the other road now. See, it's tough. It's tough to figure out where you're going. It's tough to figure out where you are, and it's, you know, we're being historically accurate, right? Because you see stuff like that during this battle all over the battlefield. Other battles as well. But if you are in one of the later attacks that came through this area, there were one brigade, Gibson's brigade, made anywhere from three to four attacks themselves, depending on what account you go with. And they were all unsupported. All the attacks that came through here were completely unsupported, which is pretty insane. Thank you, Braxton Bragg. But if you were on one of those later attacks, you would have encountered soldiers who had been wounded during the previous attacks. Now here's Briar Creek. We got to angle off this way now. This will take us straight up to the sunken road, so I'm cheating now. I'm using a landmark. But you would have encountered soldiers who were wounded in the previous attacks that could have been strewn all through here. Some of them wounded or killed close to the Union lines. Some of them attempting to make their way back to their own lines in various stages of condition. Some of them healthy enough that they may have been able to walk on their own power, others very likely dragging themselves along as best they could. So you can just imagine, along with everything else, trying to deal with that. Also, this creek would have had water in it during the battle. It was very rainy that spring. And water all over the battlefield, different areas. Although ironically, probably the most famous water feature in the park, Bloody Pond, which is over to our right front, probably was not here at the time of the battle. It's a story unto itself. I'm trying to orient myself here. Let's stop and look around. Can you orient yourself? Have you been out here? You know where we are? I'm pretty sure that the Eastern Corinth Road is right over that way. I think we're pretty close, which probably means we are way off. Look at these trees, these down trees over here, my goodness. I have not been out here since the storm a couple of years ago, so. All right. I'll work our way around this 21st century underbrush here. That's an oak tree. I'll make sure there's no poison ivy. If it is, I'll find out later, the hard way. Okay, oh boy. All right, let's go this way. Now see, we should have arrived at the Union lines by now, I'm pretty sure. I think I'm still moving in generally the right direction. But at this point, your guess is as good as mine. So, if you hear stories about some fellow who was last seen wandering around in the woods at Shiloh and nobody knows what happened to him, after they find this video, you will know the story. You will know what happened to that poor lost soul. Lost his way trying to find the 8th Iowa. It doesn't really help that my sense of direction isn't the best. I'm sure somebody would tell me to orient the sun, keep it in a certain part of the sky so you always know which way you're moving, which would have been a great idea to tell me before I headed out. So thanks for not doing that. We are being historically accurate, though. We may, in fact, be being a little bit too historically accurate at this point. I think I should have stuck over by Briar Creek instead of following that. I decided to venture off on my own, and now, yeah, and now. Well. All right, let's see. Let's go. We're going to do this. Wow, look at this. Look at this tree. Goodness. So wide I had to sit on it to get over it. Well, okay, I see a landmark. So we have success and we also have failure, because I'm pretty sure that is the 44th Indiana Monument. Which means I'm pretty far off target. Let's go see what we got. Might be the 31st Indiana, but I'm thinking it's 44th. Well, I could move over where we could read it. No, it's 31st, so I didn't go quite too far that way. But I wandered way too far to the right. But I don't know if you noticed how close we were before I even noticed the monument was there. So the soldiers along this line here, since we're now on the Union side, they would have heard all that tromping through the woods, and they would open fire very likely before we even knew they were there. So I think I will call this a successful failure. We're going to go back here to the not really sunken road itself, and let me show you how far off I was. There's Briar Creek, the bridge over Briar Creek. We've got to cross that bridge and go up that little hill, and that's where we're going to find the monument to the 8th Iowa. You know, and I've gone through these woods. I've made that same trek looking for different monuments like that probably half a dozen times. I've yet to hit the goal. I've yet to hit the target. I always come out somewhere in the wrong area. I've just never done it on video before, so I get to document my screw up. But it really is instructive. Maybe it's instructive for the fact that I lose my sense of direction very quickly, but also what they had to deal with at the time. And you know, nobody's firing at us, right? Nobody's firing at you and me walking through here. And we haven't been marching for several days. We haven't consumed all our food. We're not wearing those freaking brogans. We're not having to carry all the accoutrements that we're having to carry. I got my cell phone, that's it. So here we are at Prentice's division. This is the 23rd Missouri marker. These next three are all markers for what was left of Prentice's division after it fell back along the sunken road here. And if you see that monument off in the distance a little bit with the wreath on the side, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the 8th Iowa. Monument to the 8th Iowa. So we have success. We just won't tell anybody we were supposed to come in from the front and not the side. It'll be our little secret. You and me and the 50,000 people who watch this video over the next 10 years. Off to the left here, that's the Hornets Nest area where the Confederates would have been attacking from. There's a wonderful painting by Dale Gallen pretty close to where we are. Looking at this scene right here about where we are, where he shows the Confederates attacking and trying to overrun Hickenlooper's battery here, and the 8th Iowa and the 14th Iowa a little bit farther down, counterattacking to throw them back, which they managed to do. But the fighting here for a brief time, I think, was literally hand to hand. Hickenlooper's battery, cannon barrel missing off the monument. But here we are. This is our end point. There they are. The 8th Iowa. In memory of our failed hike. All right. Thanks for staying with me. We'll see you.